During part of this country's ugly period of slavery, a Northeast Ohio city held a special place in the hearts of slaves and those who fought against slavery. That community earned a role in American history because it was a rallying point for people who ran for their lives over hundreds of miles. I take you to Oberlin in tonight's My Ohio. Were you running for your life, escape might look like this. Every step pushing you closer to safety and freedom. You hope. The flight is intense. Risk of capture runs high. It is in the mid-1800s and you are a runaway slave, escaping horrible bondage in the American South. You are frantic to reach the North and Oberlin, Ohio.
And if you have a community with abolitionists and free black families moving here to be educated, the town is naturally going to become a station on the Underground Railroad.
Called the Underground Railroad, though not a railroad at all, it is a secret foot route dotted with a system of safe houses used by 19th century black slaves escaping to free states and Canada. Runaway slaves cover hundreds of miles looking for freedom, avoiding anyone who will turn them back. The goal, get to Oberlin. It is a key stop on the Underground Railroad.
The Underground Network system itself, which stretched all the way from the south up through Cincinnati, came across the Ohio River into Oberlin.
People were making the most difficult decisions, leaving behind everything they knew to take that risk for freedom and oftentimes for the freedom of their children.
This Lorain County community had earned a reputation. Oberlin College was the first American higher education institution to admit blacks and women in addition to white males. But escaping slavery carried enormous risks. Armed with the Fugitive Slave Act, even in the North, Southern slave catchers searched for runaways, whom they viewed as slave owners' legal properties.
So they could legally be recovered, so even Ohio was not safe.
In houses much like this in Oberlin, there were secret, dark places which could be used to hide a runaway slave. They would hide in a stairway much like this. They had to be hidden because legally, slave catchers from the South could come into the North, find a runaway slave, and take that person back into slavery in the South. An estimated 100,000 ran the many routes of the Underground Railroad. Oberlin whites, opposed to slavery, and free blacks hid many former slaves. In 1858, in Oberlin, runaway John Price was recaptured by Southern slave catchers. On their way back to the South, they stopped at a Wellington building.
A group of Oberlinians, mostly townspeople, some students, head to Wellington to eventually rescue the runaway slave John Price, and they're considered heroes here in Oberlin for what they had done.
Oberlin's stance on racial equality grew out of those days and is part of Oberlin's mindset. The group, Visit Lorain County, promotes Underground Railroad stops for visitors.
We have history ranging all the way from Station 100, which is the Black River mouth, all the way down into Wellington. The Oberlin-Wellington rescue is very much talked about.
In the 1800s, escaping slaves often sought Oberlin's shelter as they ventured north, some to Canada. Safe houses, most now gone, might resemble this one. For runaway slaves, no specific house, just reach Oberlin. This is a piece of art depicting a railroad, the Underground Railroad in Oberlin, Ohio. This piece of art is designed to evoke thought. For me, it evokes thoughts about Henry Bibb, a runaway slave who found freedom and became an author. Relative of mine, Henry Bibb? Probably. From Ohio, Henry Bibb kept moving. He reached Canada, where he authored his book on slavery and published a newspaper. The Underground Railroad resonates with me. So does this building plan to be an Underground Railroad center.
A symbol for the prominent role that the city of Oberlin played in the Underground Railroad system.
A My Ohio story pulled from history. Oberlin looks both past and future, knowing they are linked. Oberlin, a life-saving stop at the northern end of a secret pathway walked and run by people escaping the shackles of slavery. There were many routes of the Underground Railroad, each one headed north. Some who traveled that route continued into Canada where they settled, but Oberlin certainly was a key.